It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
We have a chance to reset the clock and build back better than before.
To build back better than before.
Remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it build back better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
My plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better, written after coronavirus.
It's about building better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better. Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It's a big effort to, some would say, to build back better. We would say to really have a great reset.
Conspiracy, conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Hey guys, how's it going today? Fix this just a little bit. I think that's... There we go. Alright guys, I do apologize for the time that I have spent off. It's been a little bit of a stressful time, trying to deal with the kitty flu. So just one sec. Let me just get straightened away here.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water. They turn the freaking frogs gay. Do you understand?
Okay, we'll let this play through.
It's crap. Gay. Frogs, freaking frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Frogs, friggin' frogs! I don't like a frog! Gay, friggin' frogs! Frogs! Friggin' frog crap! Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny! I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs! Place point.
Alright guys, I gotta switch this media over to my headset. Give me one moment. Okay. So yeah, it's been a pretty, rough week or so with Kitty. I'm doing the injections now, or at least trying to move over to it, and that bite kind of took me out of commission for a bit, and just things have been really stressful. I've been having to monitor him, and he actually just had a problem with his eye, which is we're worried it was from the FIP, which could be a big problem, but it's just a secondary one where his immune system's down. So I guess I'm dealing with 3 different medications for him, so watching those timers all day, every day becomes a little bit stressful, and then the injections and stuff like that is bad on itself. So that's what's been going on. So sorry about the wait to anybody, but we're not going to play City Skylines today, so that can go away. I can figure that out. What I wanted to do today was actually look at some CBC. Let's see if I can pull this up. Just one sec. Yeah, alright. Because these guys have gone off the rails. Like, off the rails. I don't know how many people that actually cover CBC. I know, like, there's a lot of places that, like, they watch the news a lot. But Canadian media has run amok because they're basically almost fully funded now by the government. For example, CBC got, like, I think it was $1.6 billion last year in funding by taxpayer money, and they only made something like I think it was like 78 million, or let's say 100 million. Let's say 100 million. It was less than 100 million, but we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt on that. And they made less than 100 million, and they're given ridiculous amounts of money to make a bunch of crap that nobody wants to see. And specifically, what they're really paid to do is push out the media, as everybody in Canada thinks CBC is like the unbiased source. Like, I guess the normies in Canada would do so. But I wanted to look into like some of these videos, and hopefully I won't get too outraged because it can get. Oh, I'll turn this down a little bit. It seems to be a little sensitive, but it can get a little bit brutal to watch. So we're gonna do that. But I do want to say hi to the people in chat. It's good to see you guys. Chi Girl and Marie W and Billy Goats. Or Mouse, I'll just say. It's good to see you guys again, and sorry about my absence, but I'll try and be a little bit more frequent, but it's just been really rough to do it all over the past little bit. So, let's get digging, because these guys, I don't know, there's a lot to choose from. Just look how, like, it's not just CBC, though. Global News, they say, is a private company, but really they're receiving so much funding now because they're just like every other news station, they're in the tank ratings wise, and they're not making any money. So in order to stay afloat, they're getting a whole bunch of taxpayer money as well. So we can actually go through a lot of this, because they're at the point now where it's like they don't even care. It's just ridiculous. It's like, just, they don't even try to make this look like it's, you know, some sort of, well, they kind of try. Actually, there was one that I was looking at today. This was some real doublespeak. No thanks, I don't want premium, if anyone's seeing that. Yeah, because I usually come for my daily dislikes and stuff like that too, so I figured I'd at least have a little bit of fun, say hi. Yeah, and I didn't want you guys to worry, but there's just been so much, you know, I've been doing, so that's why my absence has been occurring. But let's go ahead and let's see if I got this correct. I might have to change some things over here. One sec. Desktop audio. Yeah. I don't think you would have heard it if I did this. All right, let's start. Okay, so a little bit of background here. There's two Canadians. There's two Michaels. Michael Spadafor, and there was another guy as well. And they say his name, their names so infrequently that I really just can't remember the last names. We just know them as the two Michaels, who were detained in China for no real reason other than that Meng Wanzhou, who is the head of, or like one of the top people in Huawei, the Chinese communications company. She was arrested, and well, they're going to extradite her to the United States, and she was arrested in Canada. I think when she was trying to leave, actually, and this was kind of like a retaliatory thing by the Chinese government. So it's been a tension, I guess, a flashpoint between the two countries. Canada doesn't really have a high approval of China anyways, and it's like both sides really don't like what anybody has been doing about this, whether it's Trudeau or anyone else. And the way that CBC covers this, while trying not to offend CBC or China like so much, it's hilarious, because the more, and I think I might do this a little bit more, the more that we watch CBC and global news, the way that they talk about China now is really cozying up to them. It's quite ridiculous. So we're going to start looking at this now. And let's take a look. So right off the bat, this is a bit of double speak. Declaration against arbitrary detention. This is in relations to the two Canadians, as you can see here. Well, it's, in my opinion, because news has just come out about it recently, and or they've just popped up a little bit more in the news, and this came out basically in reaction to it by the government. So, but they won't say it. This is what's so ridiculous. And so anyways, declaration against arbitrary detention is country agnostic. What the heck? It's not knowing of countries, says foreign minister. So there we go. This is a real piece of work we get to listen to start off. There you go, away. All right, one sec. You guys can't hear that, can you? What's going on here? Just one sec. I got a feeling because it's an old one. One sec. Sorry, guys. Just a sec.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Shit is crap gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say.
Oh my goodness, I'm so boomer. I don't know why it's not playing the audio. It's quite weird.
A higher level in
There
the
we
weeks
go.
and the months to come.
Do you mean China?
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it did that. Sometimes this program's a little bit wonky, but especially if I didn't use it for a while, I guess maybe. But I think we can hear now.
Important start to make the point that in this day and age, we cannot accept that countries practice arbitrary detention. So that's the beginning of it, and we'll continue to take it to more to a higher level in the weeks and the months to come.
Do you mean China?
There are many countries that are.
It cracks me up, dude. The CBC has to be really careful about when they mention China, right? Because Huawei in Canada. Watch this. So Hockey Night in Canada is like the one thing that CBC has that people will watch. That's basically the one thing. And it was it was very overtly sponsored by Huawei for years. And I think they still have money in it. And I'm not 100% sure if it's still like that now, but they have to be very careful because obviously the financial roots are well into CBC. And they need these things as a lifeline. And so when they speak about China, they have to be so careful about it. But at the same time, they have to pretend, because China is so unfavorable in Canada, they have to pretend that they are doing investigative journalism. So, like, listening to her, like, pretending to press this issue is hilarious because he just side skirts it like a politician would. And there's, like, nothing on it. He's like, oh, so it's resolved. Just watch.
A higher level in the weeks and the months to come.
Do you mean China?
There are many countries that are involved with it, and we decided today, and as I mentioned to you, that some countries who spoke today did name a number of countries. We decided to be country agnostic in today's announcement because it happens in a number of countries.
Country agnostic. What type of newspeak BS is that, man? Like, sorry, I'm gonna put that away for a second. She's asked him directly, and it's just, what is it? You can mention all this all you want, but if you're not going to mention the problems that are right now about the Michael Spatfor and the other Michael, I forget the last name of the other one, and as you can see, they don't even mention the names of these people here, right? They pretend to do investigative journalism like they're pressing the issue on this, and he just side skirts this with the most ridiculous thing. Country agnostic. This is the same crap that I see. Like, because anybody can just say that this is the way that things should be. But if you don't hold these countries to account, like what they've been dragging their heels for years on this. Like, this is like these people have been over there for, I think it's 3 years now, in detention in China, for no reason other than the fact that it's a retaliatory thing because Huawei, that right there, that country, or that company, is a Chinese company, and Meng Wanzhou, who is arrested, is I guess one of the CFOs or something like that of this company. And I've heard that she's got some ties to Xi Jinping that are not legitimate, but kind of secret. So I think this could also have a little bit to do with it, maybe. But it's pretty crazy. Let's keep listening, because I'm sure it gets better.
And to focus on the practice of arbitrary detention, that's the part that is unacceptable.
Is it understandable to you that many Canadians listening, though, to your comments today following this statement would be puzzled as to why you, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs for this country, will not specifically name China, given their behavior with Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that this is a Canadian initiative that was started, in fact, by my predecessor, Minister Champagne. And there are times when it needs, a country needs to take the lead and to bring other countries into accepting and championing something that is very, very important for all countries of the world. So we decided that what was important was to declare that the practice of arbitrary detention, which is done by a number of countries, is unacceptable, rather than focus on specific countries, because it's the practice that is unacceptable. And I'm very proud of the fact that Canada took the lead on this.
That's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. First off, those people, like I said, have been in jail for years, and they're not taking the lead on anything, right? He's passing the buck back to, like, the former minister before he was in Champagne, and she's there asking a question. I'm not a big fan of her either. I've seen a lot of, like, BS she's kind of put out too, but she's even, I guess that's not such a bad question for CBC. That's about as pressing as they're going to get. And he just sidesteps it completely, repeats himself before, no mention of anything, and says, instead saying that they're taking the lead on this, even though it's been years. And to be honest, I think the Biden administration, that's why they're in the news now, actually, because the Biden administration mentioned something about the two Michaels, if I'm not mistaken. And this is why they've resurfaced. So it's like now they've taken the lead all of a sudden. Like it's ridiculous, actually. The way that they're able to sidestep, and to the Americans, you might be looking at this as a Canadian, and you're like, what does this matter? Canada tends to be like the stepping stone, the trial for America. They're about 5 to 10 years in the progression of, the globalists, I guess, if you want to call it, the gloatsies. They're a little bit further ahead in that progression compared to America. So we're a good stepping stone and to see what they can get away with and how they have to fine tune things in order to do it. So CBC is really, really good to look at to learn their tactics, because it's very easy, actually. Like what they consider journalism up here is much like how our football compares to yours. Let's put it that way. Jack 21, it's good to see you. Saying, hey, this anchor, I know. They're all bad though at CBC. Okay, they're not there for skill. Let's put it that way. Vandal, good to see you. Good to see you. God bless you too, man. God bless you too. We're just looking at some news and see what we can find and break down. It's going to be a random pick of the litter for the most part, although I did look at this one. And there's another one I want to look at later. So, a couple things, we're just making fun of the news, see what we can learn, and try and get back into the swing of things. Let's get this, let's finish this off.
So what does it mean, though, then, in practical terms for Canadians like Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, who have been detained, as I said, for nearly 800 days?
We hope that in time...
I'm impressed that she even mentioned them twice. We hope that in time.
As we move forward and try to get other countries to join us and decide how specifically we're going to give more power to this declaration, that it will put pressure on countries that practice today the arbitrary detention of citizens from another country, that they will reconsider that practice, because it's totally unacceptable and it's illegal, and it will have effects on them, because people from other countries will not want to go and work or live or visit those countries for fear that they could become bargaining chips because the two countries in question have a difference of opinion. That's the point that we're trying to get across, and it applies to all of the countries of the world.
Oof. This is how they answer questions in Canada. It's just total sidestepping. Now, I don't know, just nothing answers. Major gaslighting of people. I mean, to be quite honest, that wasn't all that bad. They have to make it look like they're doing some work against China, but again, he didn't have to mention their names. He didn't have to talk about them. There was nothing really pressed there. You know what I mean? He didn't have to mention China, which is a big problem. Let's talk about China. I mean, they traffic basically anything. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm also getting the kiddie drugs. It's out of that market. They abuse whatever they possibly can. It's something you need to talk about, especially in Canada, because Canada's owned by China, man. Or at least we're getting there, and apparently you're not allowed to talk about it. You got to be if you want to. This is how it works. If you want to not be condemned by China or whatever, you have to, if you have a problem with them, you have to speak it to the world. And you know what, my dealings with Chinese are like that very much. I remember there'd be a problem with one person and they'll try and say it to everybody so they don't offend that one person, right? And the problem with this, maybe some will pick up on it and respond to it, but I would say the vast majority of people, because they're not being directly called out for it, they're not going to react to it in any which way. They're going to be, oh, that's nice, yeah, of course we condemn it, right? When you don't mention anything, right? They can just keep doing what they're doing, and it's totally fine, right? That's cool. CCP's got 1-2 million people in concentration camps or whatever they are in Xinjiang, but we don't need to be, we can't be country gnostic, okay, guys? We have to be country agnostic. What is that? What is that? This is ridiculous. Everybody, oh, Rosemary Barton is the worst. I mean, there's, but I watched I should actually start putting TV on, and maybe I can transfer it in or something. I can watch what I'm watching right there. Yeah, that's a pretty decent idea. Maybe I'll do that. Rosemary Barton has like commercials in Canadian or on CBC where it's like her getting selfies with the Prime Minister. It's like no worries about any type of conflict there. Like, you know, not actual conflict of interest. I'm sure, it's not that, but just no moral or ethical conflict. Like she's got a major crush on Trudeau. And it's ridiculous because she's like lead anchors, and she's like one of, if not the lead anchor now. Anyways, she just keeps rising up the ranks because our media here right now is so controlled by the government, which is very close to the CCP, and they don't want to. They don't want to offend. They want to keep the face, as the best way to explain this, of the Chinese dignitaries, the CCP dignitaries. They don't want anybody to be offended over there. They still need to make it look like they're putting up a fight for free rights, but they don't care. They don't actually care, and you can see it in these stupid conversations that lead to nothing. He's just like, "Oh, we took the lead on this, man." It's like the only reason why they're mentioning it is because Biden said something. Biden. This guy's half asleep half the time, And he dragged his heels less than Canada, who is more involved with this. They have Meng Wanzhou, the Huawei person that was arrested. They have them here in Canada waiting extradition to the U.S. And you have those two people that have been detained for that reason. And they won't necessarily admit that it's because of that. But they will obviously correlate it. Like when China, the foreign ministers and stuff like that are speaking about it. Like it's the mind games that they play are just ridiculous. I have a new hat. Yeah, I guess it's new. Yeah, it's new. I guess I haven't just worn it. Everybody loves Theresa Tam. It's been funny how they kind of parade her out. They really want people to accept her. They really want people to accept her. But there's so many times that she's just been, like, people are just, they can't stand her. They can't, like, it has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with she's robotic. It's ridiculous. Cheeseburger is a tasty duck. A duck burger is actually quite good. I don't know if we've ever had that, but we have it here, and it's quite good. The cop from D.C., violence, didn't die from injuries. He died a few days later from a stroke. I heard the one that died in the Capitol died later. So I don't know if it had anything to do with, like, the gas that was put off, if it was complications from it. That could have been it. That might explain it. Apparently they're running job propaganda ads now. I heard it described. I haven't seen, but the jobs aren't even approved. They're authorized under interim emergency use. What do you mean by job? Jab. Sorry, man. I'm not reading it. I'm just reading it from like a little small screen. My bad. Jab propaganda. Yes, they have. If you're on like any Canadian station, because they basically now all receive funding from the Canadian, because they're all collapsing. Right, so they're receiving massive bailouts is what's going on. The Canadian government is buying out all the media, and it's just non-stop. Like I don't watch TV, but it's on here, so I hear it a lot, and it's non-stop, like propaganda stuff, like for COVID and the COVID workers, the worker worship stuff, and the get your jabs and wear your mask, and it's like. You're just barraged with it on TV. It's crazy. Where I live right now, there was just 100 exact cases one day, and then the next day there was another 50 exact cases. So we just shut down everything, and yeah, this is what actually just made things harder, because my vet appointments now I can't go in to see, so lovely stuff. But yeah, this is look at the look on their faces. That's kind of funny though. You notice how when did these people come back? Why did they come back? Like Did you guys notice this? Anybody else notice this?
The second one
I'll
today,
replay this, but
Newfoundland and Labrador's chief medical officer.
see, like everywhere now that you see on TV, like they haven't had this since, my goodness, like, what is it? The 90s? I would see this. I'm like, and now you only see it in like Judge and Jehovah's Witnesses places. This is basically the only time I saw it up until COVID. And now everywhere, no matter where you go, this is Newfoundland and Labrador. By the way, and look at this. Have you noticed this? Your 7-sided stars and 777. These are supposed to be pitcher plants, but pitcher plants don't really look like that. Hold on a second. And I don't think. Hold on. Yeah, they don't even, like, they're not bent, right? It's a curve. It's not a bend, and I don't think it's 7 petals. I think it's 5. Yeah, look, 1. Yeah, it's 5 segments, maybe a 6, but no, not 7. It's not 7. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, so this is our new premier. He was not elected premier yet. There's an election going on, and because of this, the 150 cases, perfect numbers, 100 and then 50 the next day. Oh, give that my down vote. And you'll notice that CBC News, The National, they have comments turned off on all of their videos for CBC News, The National. Like these guys, CBC News, they have them open, and the comments are beautiful, actually. Like everybody, like it's pretty good how much they trash CBC. But for The National, they never have the comments open. I mean, this, like, we're charged, like, this is $1.6 billion they're getting of taxpayer money, and like they heavily moderate the comments that they do allow. And for their flagship, this is like The National is like, you know, the Sunday or the nightly news, and it's the big news station or the news program in Canada. And yeah, you can't comment ever. Like, they're never open. It's just immediately just off. Like, they don't. It's not for a reason why this got shut off. It's not just because it's heavily downloaded, which they normally are, especially when they're talking about COVID. But yeah, they just don't let you talk. No need to talk, you pleb. You Canadian pleb. Anyways, this person is an unelected governor, I guess, is, you know, the equivalent. Maybe they have a little bit more power than a governor, but maybe not. I don't know, whatever. And this is, you know, they have the health representative. This is ours, Janice Fitzgerald. She's brutal. And she's already been basically accused of just doing any shutdown for no reason. Every question she answers, I haven't seen this yet. I'm guessing she's going to tell us about this. She's just making the information based on, or making the decision based on the information that she has. I can almost, it should be a drinking game when you watch her nightly or daily. Maybe not in the daytime, but it should be a drinking game. You wait for her to say she's just going off the information that she has. It's just ridiculous. Well, let's start it up.
Can't stress to you enough the urgent nature of this situation.
At a sudden late-night news conference, the second one today, Newfoundland and Labrador's Chief Medical Officer of Health broke the news.
That we have received confirmation that the outbreak in the metro area is indeed due to a COVID-19 variant of concern.
Specifically, the variant that raced across the UK is now on the loose in this province. Everywhere is now moving to alert level 5 for 2 weeks, limiting gatherings to 5 people, closing restaurants for in-person dining, shutting non-essential businesses. It's all increasing the
And yes, it is this dreary looking
fear that hit the province earlier this week.
I can't help everybody, but if you can't get out or if you're afraid to go out...
There's that accent
Donnie
there.
Earl has been running errands in his taxi for people who are afraid to go out.
Anybody really who needs a prescription or needs something from our local hardware store or, you know, a loaf of bread.
This virus has torn through the youth population, starting with high school students in the Metro St. John's area. It's now moving into other parts of the province.
As we expected, we are starting to find cases outside of the metro area, spreading through the Avalon and beyond into other regions of the province.
So, Chris, a tumultuous week for people in Newfoundland and Labrador, and this election is going to drag on for a bit.
But at least after tonight, Ian, there is some clarity. People will have until Monday to apply for their special ballots, and then they will have to return those.
Oh no, my microphone was off. Sorry about that. But you know what? Let's just go back for a second.
Have until Monday to apply for their.
Yeah, the double speak with this is just ridiculous. The good news is you'll have until Monday to get your thing. So I was gonna vote, right? There's no voting now in person. This is basically how this is working now. I was gonna vote in person, but now I have to put my faith. But the good news is I can get it. I got until Monday, and today's Monday. Today's Monday. Uh-oh. It's the 13th. Well, man, I'm two days behind on this, but that's wonderful. I'm certainly going to be looking up CBC News the National on a Saturday night, right? Come on, man.
Their special ballots,
Awesome.
And then they will have to return those to Election NL by Monday, the 1st of March.
All right. Chris, thank you.
Hey guys, you should, I was just talking about, brought to you by Dominion Voting Systems. By the way, Newfoundland used to be called the Dominion of Newfoundland. Yeah. But it's awesome. Yeah. We don't get to vote in person anymore, or we don't have to. Well, we can just let these guys take care of it. And then that lovely necklace that you got there, what is that, man? Just whales, creepy Newfies. This is what you call a downtown townie person. She's in her liberal ivory tower down on Duckworth Street or Gower or something like that. If you guys know about Newfoundland or St. John's, that's this swanky part of downtown, I guess. And you got like your ivory tower down there, your Queen Anne house, or your, whatever on Victoria Street or something like that, and. Yeah, you get to dictate to the world that the good news is you don't vote in person anymore, but you have an extended deadline to get your stuff. It's like, great, thanks. Awesome. COVID.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay, great. Also, too, I couldn't get my cat. I couldn't see my cat when I was doing the vet, and I had to do a shave to get injections done, and they didn't do it in the right place because I couldn't show them, right? It's lovely. You can't go into any vet now. Awesome stuff. COVID's just so great. Oh, sorry guys. I've had this a little bit off for a moment. Duck is yummy. You guys are really on the duck. Hey Brittany, good to see you. Yeah, sorry about the mute. My bad. I wasn't looking. It's been a long week. I'm tired, man. But let's keep going. Let's see what we else. I mean, this is really it always is a treasure trove. Oh, here's some Rosemary Barton.
Newfoundland and Labrador's Chief Electoral Officer is Bruce Chalk, and he joins me this Sunday morning from St. John's. Nice to see you.
Morning.
So you have just decided today that people will now have until Friday night to apply for a special ballot. I know, though, already it's been really difficult for people stuck on the phone, having a hard time getting online. Are you confident now that everyone who wants to will be able to exercise their right to vote?
Yes, and we've made a few changes to help ensure that people can apply and get a special ballot kit sent out to them.
What are the changes you've made other than extending the deadline?
Well, and standing deadline was one of the most important parts of it. The online portal is actually the easiest
I don't
way.
want to go on too much because there's much better stuff than that. But that's Rosemary Barton. She is probably the worst. And well, let's say definitely the most overpaid. Definitely the most overpaid. Oh, lovely. Here we go. Black Lives Matter movement spark global support? Yes, of course. Again. Oh, look at this. Remember what I was explaining there? See, it's not about what CBC says or media. It's about what they don't say. Okay? See this? Comments are turned off even though it's just the CBC News one. Remember, the national one turns off the comments every time. But CBC News, right? They keep these open for most of them. But this one, something must have happened. Like a bunch of people, like maybe 1 in every 6 or so people would say, 5 out of every 6 would comment something, that is talking about this ridiculous communist insurgency that some people call BLM. But let's take a look, see how they glorify these, basically criminal worship acolytes. I guess that would be the best way to call them. They think they're doing something good, but hopefully the people watching know the difference.
We are calling for a reinvestment of those funds into Black, Indigenous, racialized, impoverished, and other targeted communities.
I assume that she's talking about the money from police forces and they go into those communities. Well, I don't know if you've heard about Minneapolis recently, but they are now undefunding the police. So all of that was that's starting to get rolled back now because it was a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea then, and it's a terrible idea now. But we're almost a year into this now, and CBC is still just worshiping this. It's just absolutely worshiping. Something that caused billions in property damage, it cost the lives of dozens of people, if not into the hundreds. It's part of a larger movement that killed a lot more people in Nigeria. I don't know if anybody knows or cares about that, but it's the End SARS thing that was there. SARS is like their police or whatever. Just end police brutality is basically what's going on around the world. It was funded by the same people, and it's killing, and it's causing chaos and disturbance. And most of the people on the internet, they don't realize what they're doing, but a lot of people do, or at least to an extent. And it's a good time, right?
My name is Cyrus Marcus Ware, and I'm an artist, an activist, and a scholar. I'm an organizer with Black Lives Matter Canada and Black Lives Matter Toronto.
Millions around the world demanded that Black Lives matter in the summer of 2020 after the killing of George Floyd.
See, it's such a truism, but...
We're coming up on a year since George Floyd's killing. How did it affect you?
I was, like many people, struck by the violence of what we saw. I chose not to watch the, almost 9-minute video of them brutally murdering this man. It
was much more than 9 minutes, actually. It was like 30 minutes, 35 minutes or something. But the 9 minutes where his knee is on the neck, yeah. But I guess that's all they need to watch. They don't need to see what was happening beforehand or the context. I mean, don't get me wrong, the knee on the neck, for that long, ridiculous, but sure, yeah, if you see the 8 or 9 minutes version of it, yeah, maybe you're going to be outraged, but if you see the whole context, like, I saw a lot of people change their minds pretty quick the day that body cam footage came out. If you guys haven't seen the full footage, you totally should look it up. It's still got to be on the internet somewhere. I'll see if I can find it somewhere.
It's heartbroken, that we were still in these conditions in 2020. And then, of course, immediately on the heels of George Floyd's death was the death of Regis Christian-Paquette here in Toronto. And, again, a mysterious death in the company of the police.
What did you think of the response afterwards?
After the summer of 2020, a lot more people understand what defunding the police could look like, that it could making sure that we have funding for housing, making sure that we have funding for food for all, making sure that we have these things in our
funding for housing and food for all now? What are you talking about? And then where are you getting the money from? Defunding the police. Right. And I mean, they're talking about, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of this person. Maybe it was a mysterious death. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. They didn't present anything. It's all just like, it's all based on assumption that the deaths must have been due to malicious intent, and they have this conviction, and they're not going to turn from it. And you look at CBC, and they just completely bow down to these people. It's a little bit disheartening when you think about it, and maybe I should take that into account when I'm watching it, like, because this is where my money is forced to go into. Like, everybody in Canada is forced to pay for this. It comes out of their money directly from their taxes. Like, there's no even fee that you see. It's like just out of your taxes. You don't have a choice in it. You can't opt out of it. If you're making money, you're going to pay for this, and it's straight up propaganda. And they don't press anything here. What was the actual question again after they mentioned this?
Here in Toronto, and, again, a mysterious death in the company of the police.
Okay, maybe in the company of police. Well, I mean, things happen, I don't know who she is. I mean, wherever that picture was from.
What did you think of the response afterwards?
After the summer of 2020, a lot...
So, there's nothing to talk about there. The reasoning behind why it would drive him so much. There's no, or her, whatever, I don't know. I mean, but why... It's never just like a black person, either. It's never just like one. It's like they must intersect in the intersectionality scale in order to make it to the TV. Or something. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not trying to make fun of the guy either, or the girl. Is it a guy or a girl? Do they say he or she? Whatever they want to, But why? It's just always. It's got to be like super intersectional. There's like a hierarchy of that, and this is kind of intense, like how this is starting to work out or play out.
More people understand what defunding the police could look like. That it could mean making sure that we have funding for housing.
But you didn't justify it, and then you're like making sure we have money for housing. You're saying the police is going to fund housing and food for people? Come on.
Making sure that we have funding for food for all, making sure that we have these things in our community that are going to just make us stronger and actually safer. We're also seeing, some moves on the political scene around the defund movement.
These pilot programs would allow for a non-police-led response for non-emergency, non-violent calls.
Just last week, Toronto's City Council approved a pilot project that would see civilians, instead of police, dispatched to emergency mental health calls.
It's change that is going to make us stronger, and it's going to make us a healthier community that is actually rooted in a sense of safety and justice.
You've been vocal about racism within the LGBTQ communities. What kind of changes are you seeing there?
This emergence that has always been here of Black and Indigenous trans leadership has always been a forefront of our communities, but was being ignored.
Sorry to keep interrupting, but did you hear that? They really stress the Indigenous here in Canada. Because we don't have as much of the same stigma here with the Black Lives Matter, but we do have, or with black people, but we do have a huge one with Indigenous people. Like, it's a huge one, and people keep pressing that button. Keep pressing that button. Let me see if I can find this real quick. If I look up Black Lives Matter Global funding. Sorry, my keyboard is really bad at the moment. It's still really bad. Maybe if I put in just one sec. Okay. Bear with me. There you go. See that? See that? It's right down at the bottom. I didn't even notice. This is blacklivesmatter.com, right? You guys can see this, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. Tides Foundation. Tides Foundation. You guys should totally look up what the Tides Foundation is. I'll give you another one. Wet'suwet'en. So yeah, you can even go to Tides, and I'm pretty sure you can look up like their. It's a big, huge. Basically, it's run by Soros. When you look into it, it's the Soros Fund, and they are an activist group, and they will push any button possible, and you see them behind Black Lives Matter, as you see right there, right? And for the Canadians, they may know Wet'suwet'en by what has been transpiring over the past couple of years, but these are the hereditary chiefs that nobody elected, right? So the elected chiefs are actually, a lot of them are against these people, right? But they basically claim themselves to be in power, and then they get a whole bunch of money from the Tides Foundation, and then they go out and they start rioting. They start doing the same thing that Black Lives Matter does. You can look into that. This is this is actually a video of where you see a Canadian chief saying they're taking money from water. This is Wet'suwet'en, right? Yeah, it was from a year ago that this came out. I remember seeing this. Yeah. So why are these same people? What's going on here? They're all marching to the same beat. That's what's going on here. So in America, you see Black Lives Matter, which we'll keep on watching, which it has a big thing in Toronto, I guess, because there's a Toronto, I would say, and maybe parts of Nova Scotia, and maybe Vancouver or something might be pretty big on it, but it's more the natives here. And they try and make it look like it's separate, but as I just shown you, the money ends up in the same, or comes from the same hands. You should look. Maybe I'll do a little bit more on the Tides Foundation, just show who's behind it. But long story short, it's a Soros group. Let's keep going.
And erased through whitewashing.
I'll get to chat in a second.
And what we saw this summer was people saying, absolutely, no, let's rise up these voices. Well, now, after everything that's happened, and as we find ourselves in the revolutionary moment that we're in, more and more queer and trans folks are saying, hold on, I actually think I get it now. So I think we're seeing more people getting on board with supporting Black, queer, and trans people.
You use artwork.
See, and that's the thing, too. It becomes quite interesting because the two don't necessarily translate. For example, Proposition 8 in California. Now, I know it's been a good few years now, but I'm pretty sure that the black voters for Proposition 8 in California voted against same-sex marriage at higher rates than Mormons, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's any indicator, now I know 12 years makes a difference, and but there's still a big, the macho culture is still, I guess for lack of a better word, it still thrives in a lot of the black communities, and they don't intersect necessarily, yet they really force this. I mean, of course, like, they had to talk about it. Like, it's just, it starts off with Black Lives Matter, and then as Black Trans Lives Matter is what happened in the signs, the signage and their chants and things like that you saw if you guys were watching over the summer and into fall. It starts with the Black Lives Matter, and then they turn everything into rainbows, and you know what I mean, which is whatever, man, you do what you want to do, but it's clearly a bait and switch technique. Clearly, like, where did we just, why? What do you mean Black Lives Matter? Okay, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. Okay, now we're talking about LGBTQ, blah, blah, 2K4, HDDD, whatever it is this year. I don't know. But they're going to tell me, even though it had nothing to do with it. It's total bait and switch.
To send messages of hope, of equality, of acceptance. Tell me more about that.
I've been drawing massive, large-scale portraits of activists as part of an activist portrait series, honoring and celebrating their love and their labor and their organizing. I think that art and activism are essential components. They go together like peanut butter and jam. Like they absolutely work together. Art makes activism better. Creative thinkers in activism helps us to do better strategy, helps us to imagine new ways, because we're literally able to imagine new worlds being possible. But they also, are the backbone of.
I mean, let's just talk about this for a moment. I mean, this is art. Like, you're telling me that this is some great stuff here. I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I guess. That's okay. But then, okay, now you're just copying and pasting and then upside down and mirroring. Like, why do we need to cherish this? This isn't, like, this is just simplistic and, I don't know, pathological. Like, there's no creativity here. It's just, okay, hey, well, let's take the same image and copy it and flip it, and, and maybe I can't do any better. Don't get me wrong, but, like, I'm also not paid to be an artist. This is,
possible.
Maybe, hey, guys,
but they also, are the.
If you think I'm wrong, that this is actually beautiful art, I don't get it. Just let me know. Or is this just some sort of money laundering scheme? Because this is what, listen, a lot of art is a lot of this stuff, right? They sell things for exorbitant amounts of money that most people would never pay for, and it's garbage, and they do it to launder money, right? This is how they get their deals going. This is what I'm telling you. If you look into this kind of stuff, I bet you might find some interesting stuff.
They're the backbone of activist movements, the banners, the textile.
Look at this. What is that? Is that Saul's brother from Better Call Saul? Who is that?
The posters.
What is this?
Movements, the gestures, the dances, all of these activist aesthetics that are creatively inspired are so essential.
They have no creativity. It's like and they all have the same stuff. Here's another thing that you should look this up. My poor keyboard. Allegria art. You guys know it. You'll see when you see it. You know what I'm talking about here. Oh, come on now. Why does it do that? Yeah, see, notice how the body shapes are distorted. It's always that way. So there's no regular body shape in Allegria. And you see this everywhere in Google. They're not giving me the greatest examples for this, but yeah, this is a good example of it. The hands are massive compared to the face, so it's like there's no confusion. There is no such thing as normal or good or healthy or anything like that. Everything is fine. Nothing is normal. Everything abnormal is normal. It's basically how this works. Look, see, right? And the best part about this art is that you can do it with an IQ of like 70. It's not. This is not hard. This is like paint stuff. Still probably better than I can do. I'm not much of an artist, but again, where's the creativity here? Okay, awesome. You're eating, with chopsticks. Who would have thought that would have been something of your artsy fartsy stuff? Artsy fartsy. Yeah. Just great stuff. It doesn't. No intelligence required whatsoever. Allegria. I spelled it wrong. It doesn't matter because it's crap. And it's meant to be crap, to normalize things that are not normal and abnormalize what is considered beautiful. I don't know if abnormalize is a word. Estrange that which is beautiful would be a better word. Yeah, let's finish this off because this one.
Cyrus teaches students about that intersectionality as an assistant professor in the School of the Arts at McMaster University. When thinking about the next generation, what advice do you have for them?
Now is the time to make bold moves. Now is the time to be brave, perhaps braver than we've ever been. Change is happening before us, and we need everybody involved in shaping that change.
It's an issue. That's an issue. You need everybody involved. what's so brave about following the flow? Like, I mean, every single corporation out there is supporting it. Like, what is really so brave about this? You know? I'll admit it was brave, like, say, 15 years ago, you put up, like, a rainbow flag up in a, you know, maybe 15 years ago, especially in some places. You know, maybe I could say at least that was brave. You know what I mean? But there's nothing brave about this right now. You're just siding with it. And of course now, you know.
And Asha Tomlinson joins me now with more on that conversation. Hi, Asha. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Janella.
You know,
So, Cyrus,
I feel, you know, maybe I'm wrong with this, but if I was black or something like that, what's the word here that I'm looking for? I would feel patronized. I would feel absolutely patronized. It's like, well, these are the spokespeople for the community, you know, and this is the way that, you know, given that this is a great movement and it deserves support, you know what I mean? Like, I would feel very patronized. You know, I feel patronized anyways by the media, but like, if there's anybody like that's watching this that's, you know, of color or whatever, let me know how you feel about that. Do these chats often patronize you?
Cyrus has been on the front lines of the BLM Toronto movement for some time. So what are the hopes for the future?
Well, you know,
Front
Cyrus
lines.
has seen it all, Janella. He's been pushing for justice, for equality, for change, as we know, for almost 3 decades. So when I asked him
Completely
if he felt
unbiased.
the momentum has slowed down now that we're in 2021 with everything going on, you just heard, no, he has high hopes for the future. He calls this an ongoing revolution. He continues to work with Black Lives Matter Canada and Black Lives Matter Toronto, and in fact said that the BLM organization worldwide was just nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's feeling pretty hopeful, but he says the ultimate marker here, he believes if we can recognize and safeguard the rights of the most marginalized in the LGBTQ2 community, particularly transgender people, then he believes that not only will we have reached equality, true equality, but that is the overall accomplishment.
So what other advice did
But their equality, right? Like what they consider to be equal, right? It like the thing that I've been trying to, like, I guess, put my thumb on for this whole article is it's this fallacy. Just one second. Everybody uses this like a turn of phrase, and it's not a phrase. It's the name of a fallacy. So a circular argument in which it's called begging the question. A circular argument in which the conclusion is included in the premise. The logical incoherent argument often arises in situations where people have an assumption that is very ingrained and therefore taken in their minds as a given. Circular reasoning is bad, mostly because it's not very good. So yeah, it's a good example for it. This whole thing, this whole whatever video article or whatever, it's begging the question that the Black Lives Matter movement is a movement worth supporting. So like and I mean, this is, you know, obviously basically everybody corporate now accepts it or whatnot, but bear in mind the whole thing is based on the fallacy that these guys just completely accept, and like, look at this, it's just case closed. You know, this guy is on the front lines, man. Front lines fighting for justice, equality. You didn't hear her, like, she's going with the hand signals, you know what I mean? Like, she's pumped for this person. There is no impartiality whatsoever. It's just a complete acceptance. It's begging the question that, is the Black Lives Matter movement worth supporting? And they're like, well, they didn't even mention, you know, they just say a name. Remember that the basis that they were talking there was that person that had died, and George Floyd. But then they put in a whole bunch of other stuff with it, and the whole thing is begging the question in the first place, and they won't have the discussion. This is just case closed, and it's what can we do to support them?
Cyrus have for people?
And they pretend that it's grassroots too, when it's really like every media company is buying into this like no tomorrow, without asking questions.
Who wanted to get involved in their own communities?
He says now is the most beautiful time to get engaged, to get involved. But this is an interesting point, right? He says we need to look at care and rest in new ways right now. He encourages people not just to get involved head first, but to build up as well a regimen, a practice of self-care. You don't hear that much, right? And when you look at the double barrel of the COVID pandemic, along with the racial reckoning that many people are facing, I mean, he says activist burnout is a very real thing. It's very damaging. And so his advice is slow down when you need to, have your support systems in place, and that'll get you through, because this is definitely a long-term fight.
All right, CBC.
See, the issue never was whether you're doing the right thing or not. It's about how can you do it better or how can you do it smarter. There's no investigative journalism whatsoever, and we never heard about it. The only bit of justification that they gave were the deaths of them, but we've never seen them talk about the body cam footage. There's half an hour. They're talking about 8-9 minutes, but there's a half an hour video. You know, there's much to do before he had that knee on the neck, which was, you know, that's a terrible thing. I'm not saying that, but you don't forget about everything there. They love to pick and choose and just go with the given. Like, oh yes, you know, anybody who's against this is racist. It couldn't possibly be. You know, are the ends justifying the means with this movement? Which I think the answer, if you look into it, with any sense of impartiality, you will come to the conclusion that this is more of a communist front, like completely obvious, funded by the same people like we see here, Tides Foundation. As you see all around the world, they're funding all different types of things. Whatever the taproot issue is of any country, they're pushing that button. You can be guaranteed that same money flowing is coming from the same place. So I guess, you know, 3 articles. I think this is kind of fun to take a look at. Looks like there's a lot of things that were mentioned also in chat. I don't want to miss you guys, because it has been a while. By the way, Jack, I do remember you now. Yeah. You're in the late night. A couple of the other ones. I love that the chief one right there mentioned the Hegelian dialectic. And this is exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. Now, listen, maybe the George Floyd thing, because I know a lot of people think that the thing was not real as reported or whatever. I think that it very well could have been real, but I don't think, after looking at all the footage, I'm not the only one that says it. It doesn't seem like it has anything to do with race. It just seems to do with like for whatever reasons, 2 hot-headed people that doing stupid things. It doesn't look like race had anything to do with it whatsoever. And when you really look into it, the whole narrative crumbles. You can't really, I don't think anybody can truly conclude after looking at all the evidence that these guys really have your best interest at heart. It was something that was, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake either. Like they could have just been waiting to jump on this and roll out the media attack. You know what I mean? On whether it was fake or real, whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And this is something we definitely got to bear in mind with a lot of the events that happens. It just needs to be close enough, and the media can doctor up everything else. You know, it's what they do best. It's what they do best. Don't underestimate their ability to do that. What else we got here? Oh yeah, I missed out a lot of stuff, guys. Sorry. Loving that duck. Notice 9 out of 10 CPAC vids have the comments turned off. Yeah. Oh yeah. And global news is getting pretty bad as well. They're getting really bad, actually. Like, you think that they're like private, so like the people that, you know, most people in Canada think that because CBC is public, it's impartial, but it's not at all. It's obviously going to be partial towards the parties that want to pay it more money. You know, they're bought by auction. They're propaganda wing bought by auction for each political campaign is how it works. But yeah, CPAC is getting really bad. But what I mean is that most people think that they're impartial because they're public, but the ones that are more conservative in Canada think that Global is more impartial because it's more corporate and not publicly owned. But now there's a lot of public money into it, so now you got to deal with them just like you deal with the other ones. Always got to go to the Afro, Indigenous, trans. I know, right? And it's like it's got this dualistic effect. Like, it makes you feel, if you're part of that group or whatever, I guess there's a sense of empowerment, but at the same time, I would think that there's a more subconscious sense of enslavement, that if you want to be part of this group and accepted by this group, you have to accept the others, and you may not want to accept all the stuff, right? And if you don't, what do you do from there? The people who you thought were fighting for you, what do you do now? You know, it's a good comment, really good comment on that. Floyd was in an Actors Guild, yeah, but I mean, it's possible. Hey, man, you know, from what I saw, it looked like he was. But you know, I didn't really look into it whether or not, like, as a fakery thing. I didn't, because it already had such a what do you call it? Impact, the way that the media rolled it out. That yeah. I gotta go check on my kitty now in 1 second, because he hasn't been around actually this little bit. But yeah, if comments are turned off, I mean, it's pretty brutal. Maybe CPAC shuts it down by accident. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break just to check on Kitty. Maybe you can watch a little bit more, and I'll see if there's anything I missed in the chat or whatnot. For the time being, I will play just a little something.
Well, we have a panel of experts on this, so here we go. This term, absolutely ignored by the hoax community since Sandy Hook at the very least, proves why they always were, are, and always will be 100% irrelevant to solving the problem and actually finding truth. 30 seconds on the clock. Good luck. Okay, and first we go over to the regular sane person, and she says, what is plausible deniability? Great, you thought for yourself, you did not conform, and you did not go out on a limb with something that you had no clue about. Therefore, you seem to keep what you have there. Now, on to truth expert number one. We have NWO Illuminati Robbie Parker. That was the same answer we get every week, and you will lose it all for that. And then over to truth seeker number two. How dare you question me? And has risked all but $399, a small portion of what he had. And the winner today is a world-class shill, as has been called by the truth experts. And that is the prize, but at least she gets to keep her sanity. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like a frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Place point.
So this is Kitten. This stuff is how I bribe him to get certain things done, like injections and stuff like that. Let's see if I can show you. His eyes starting, you can notice one eye is not reflecting light as much as the other. And it's not just the angle either. This is Kitty, but he's looking real good. Before he could barely open his eye, and that was really scary actually. So yeah. Yes, buddy. Oh. Oh, he's giving me the cold shoulder. It's okay. Okay, I'm back. Let's take a look into the chats. Yeah, that is that song that just played was FC Kahuna is the name of the band, and Hailing is the name. It's a pretty good song, and today the music started with the William Tell Overture by Rossini, the final act or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Kitty is a little bit camera shy. It's hard to get, because I got to get photos taken of him, like a lot, especially, when something happens like with his eye and stuff like that. And it's brutal to get pictures. I have to bribe him with this stuff. So this is all I know what to do to give you a little bit of Kitty action and whatnot. So, yeah, that's Kitty. Let's see. Mom has a Bacchus bus she keeps in the garden. Yeah, Bacchus is pretty, pretty common, especially for like sculptures and things like that, because Bacchus and Attis and stuff like that, they're all, the perfect one or whatnot. I'm not full screen. Yeah, I know. I'm just figuring out how to get back to the thing there. Oh. I guess I was using a different setup before. Maybe that was what's going on. Here we go. Boom. All right. We're back at it. Yeah, no, you don't need to look at my ugly mug anyways. But yeah, as you can see, totally ratioed. And a lot of these, most of these do. Anytime it talks about like Black Lives Matter or anything like that, look, I'm pretty sure if you go to the home, being black in Canada, like, is non-stop. Like, this stuff is just non-stop. Like, if you just believed everything that was on the news, like in Canada, it would just be racism, the climate, and COVID. That's it. That's all. There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing else to worry about. Certainly not the economy. Our inflation is going nuts, by the way, here in Canada. It's not quite as bad as some people are hyperbolizing, but yeah. Here's another way that they do double speak here. We won't need to watch all of it. I just want to show you the title itself. What's going on right now? Pfizer Canada head says company is extremely committed, in quotation marks, to meeting vaccine delivery targets. And yeah, what this really means is Canada could not secure all their vaccines. That's what they've been talking about. Like, they're late on the amount of vaccines that they wanted at this time. They have been screwed over by their suppliers, and Canada is just, it looks really bad right now for the own normies that are like obsessed about COVID. Like, it looks really bad, and the way that they're trying to paint it right now is they're working really hard to get this stuff, even though like so many other countries like have no problem with this. Canada is like screwed. They've barely been screwed over again by the international community because everybody thinks Canada's a joke now, especially with Trudeau. So they don't need to really do anything that Trudeau says. He's so wrapped around everybody's finger. So they have to keep making excuses, and this is why Canada bought up all their media, because they have to now spam this everywhere. And yeah, this is what this really means. What they're really trying to say here is that they're behind on targets, and this is their doublespeak. Extremely committed to meeting vaccine delivery targets, and in a couple months' time, it's going to mention why the delays have happened, even though it's all, they're going to keep it all hypothetical, never really blame anybody or anything. And yeah, interesting. This one doesn't get downvoted as much. But you never know how those things are manipulated anyways. But someone said painful to watch makes you not trust that company one bit. Well, this is funny. Canadians are really in the blind spots, man. They really think the buck stops at the corporation. And I'm not saying that the corporation needs to be defended, these big corporations. What I'm saying is that they don't think anybody else is responsible except big bad evil capitalism in their minds. That's what they think it is, right? So they just believe that Pfizer is the problem, and they just leave it at that. And this is how this works. This is how like all of these comments, when they are Canadian normie comments, if you go on Twitter, for example, that would be a good example. If you go there, that's what they'll be talking about. But yeah, people are, as you can see, people are, they don't have any faith in any of this, and this is all just accepted as truth, and people don't like it. And it's funny, it's funny to watch these channels react to how they live outside the bubble of reality. Their rules, the laws of physics and everything don't apply to these people, apparently, in their minds. The laws of everything doesn't. That's what I'm trying to say. Morality, anything and everything. It doesn't need to matter. All that matters is just how they report it. And it's getting to a point of total hilarity in Canada. I don't want to listen to Rosemary Barton and this person for 9 minutes. I just wanted to show you to like look at the title on this one. Let's go back to the chat here. When Jeff died, I looked through so many obituaries and think I saw two black people died in all of Quebec in December and January. Yeah, but if you go on CBC or Radio Canada, it's going to be like 50% black people. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like, don't get me wrong, I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally fine seeing a black person do it. I was disappointed, by the way, when Deputy LeVar Burton did not become the leader. That's my qualification statement that everybody talks about. But yeah, it's quite interesting how overrepresented they are in the media. And I think someone was mentioning, I think Mouse mentioned this, that they have some black children, and that you got to feel, I think you got to feel patronized, completely patronized. And oh man, I bet you the agencies for like black people in commercials, I bet you they are like booming these days. That's the industry you want to get in right now, because like it's just always it's such over-representation. It cannot be balanced by the scope of all people in the media these days, and the minorities that get the positions. It can't be balanced. There's no way that the balance is what they. It's funny because they talk about how they want equality, but it's like they don't have any boundaries of what that is. They don't have any definition for what that is. And they really play on that gray area. They really play on that gray area. Yeah, report finds racism bias in Winnipeg fire response. So I'm guessing what's going to start happening is they talk about getting priority for racialized communities or something like that. I think I heard that term on TV earlier today. Racialized communities. What is a racialized community? What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, we're not living in Jim Crow laws here anymore, you know? You're trying to segregate things again, is what's trying to go down, right? This is, and it's so they haven't quite been able to sell it on American media yet. But with Canada, where there's no real opposition, there's no any opposition to the liberal media is completely shunned and tortured, for lack of a better words. Like, for one example, Rebel News. I don't really like Rebel News. I've had my words against them before too. They maybe control opposition, so I'm not trying to give them any praise here. But what they are is not liberal, you know, and they're quite anti-leftist, and they get demonized here. They're just like the Fox News, but it's worse here. Like, they're more cornered. They're more cornered than. Because it's been far more accepted here in Canada, and people just don't really say much. They're just, trust the experts, trust the experts. I know it's getting to a really bad extent in America as well, but I do think that we're ahead in that group mindthink of leftism. What's it like to stay at a quarantine hotel? Let's do this one. I'm down with this one. I don't know what you guys think about this. Hit the like button if you want to see more of us just like making fun of Canadian media all day. I think I'd like to do this a little bit more. Maybe not just Canadian either. We can do American stuff too. You can shoot some stuff at me. I think you got my email, or maybe do I have the post on it before? No, racialized, like adjective, I guess. Racialized community. Yes, I'm pretty sure I heard that term earlier today. And you know what? I think it was talking about services like vaccines, and there was like they would get priority like they would with response or something. I see. I didn't really listen to enough of it to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure I heard this really distinct term. And usually when you hear something like that, you're probably going to hear more of it over the next few little bit. Yeah, before we watch this, I just want to check into the chat, because I'm sorry if I'm missing your stuff. Government needs to leave us the frig alone, says Jack way back there. Yeah, and I completely agree. 4+ years, U.S. Congress has been trying to get Trump, yet somehow acceptable. Yet that's somehow acceptable to citizenship. Yeah. They've wasted all that time not to work for the. I know, and 2 impeachments. They were trying to impeach before. How much time was wasted on this stuff? Like during crucial moments too. That first impeachment was the January to February, wasn't it? Of the coronavirus. Like, what the heck was that? These people were talking about not being prepared and stuff like that, and that's all they were talking about during these initial months. They wouldn't mention anything. Both sides are evil and play off each other. It's all a game to them, says Chi Girl, and I am definitely partial to that. I think that thinking one side or the other is for you is a bad idea. I think whatever side believes that the government in itself will corrupt everything it touches, I will tend to be closer to them, right? So I that would tend to be conservative at times. But there's a difference between we in Canada we call the what would be the Republican Party the Conservative Party, right? But we also have another saying, same thing in Britain, they have this. We say there's small c and big C. Same thing as big L and small l, because we have a Liberal Party as well. Liberal, when it's big C conservative, it means that you're part of the Conservative Party, right? It's your, by name, you are conservative, right? But you're not necessarily a fiscal conservative, right? Because our conservatives were more progressive at times, right? So when you say that you're small c, it means that you're much more conservative in your values, ideologically and fiscally specifically. You're it's more, when you say conservative, it's more about the ideology itself of conservatism or conservatism, as opposed to the party, right? And I would consider myself a small c conservative in Canada. That would be my thing as well. Let's keep going. Is Twitter in Canada called Twitter A? No, I don't know. It's on there, the old Twitter theory. Most Canadians don't care if their neighbor gets dragged off into the camps until it's their door getting knocked down. And I mean, what we're seeing, the quarantine hotel, we're going to watch one now. We're going to get the tour now. Like, they're trying to, I guess, fluff piece this kind of stuff. And our money on 2 failed from the start. Impeachments, yeah. Both sides are evil playoff. Yep, we just covered that. No true liberalism or conservatism in a rainbow or unicorn land. Anyways, only progressive NWO factions. Yeah, pretty much. That's basically it. You got fake conservatives, controlled opposition. Great. Yeah. That's what I mean. Racialize. They're watching you. They see your every move. Yeah, well, what do you know? And Team Jesus, yeah, well, absolutely. But if we're talking about political ideology, then that would be my closest one. Just the acceptance that we are in a fallen world, and the less the government interferes with your liberty, the better. For most things. There's very little, to be honest, that I would argue does something better. The only thing where the government might do something better is if they are tasked to produce like one thing. You know, anytime you ever have any, they might be able to pump that out, and the law of bigger numbers may give an advantage there for production wise. Anything else entirely whatsoever, they can never do with the same efficiency as the private sector can do. So I think conservatism and Team Jesus align a lot more than Team Liberal. Despite the arguments that you keep hearing today that Jesus was a communist, which he absolutely wasn't. Be a small c, yeah. I mean, if you talk about rhinos, if you think rhinos are like, a rhino would be a big C, right? And maybe MAGA or something close to that would be small c, or somewhere around that. You know, now I'm lumping all small c in with MAGA, or so it would seem. No, all MAGA, I think, would be small c, but not all small c are MAGA. There you go. They make everything so obscured and confusing nowadays that you can't really win no matter what politician. Yeah, and I mean, things sway so fast that you're just caught up in the tide as a politician, you know, and sometimes that tide is going to pull you out to sea real quick. Watch out for that undertow, because, I mean, and you can't tell the future. You don't know what scandal they're going to push later to screw someone over, or however it is how it works, you know. So yeah, and I knew that you wouldn't say you're MAGA, so that's why I qualified that. Yeah, for sure. It's okay. Let's government always take the most expensive, least practical route in every situation. Basically, because, well, first off, something goes wrong, and then they got to spend a whole bunch of money on committees to study the problem, and then that specifically, the oversight, when oversight starts stepping in, that's when you really start seeing costs spin out of control. There's no, in the public sector, there's comparatively little incentive to save money in that department if you have what feels like an inextinguishable amount of money given to you by the government, right? So when it's not your money, you don't worry about it so much. Long story short, that's the big problem. It's the big problem. Liberal used to be normal. Yeah, I mean, liberal's a pretty widespread term too, and it's used depending on where you are. I mean, it means different things, but it certainly doesn't mean what people say liberal is now, or it never meant that. You know, 100% with the private. Yeah, I mean, basically everything. maybe you, if you have a decent healthcare system, but I haven't seen one that's all that great. I think one can save a little bit better. And yeah, it does screw over the person that's poor, and there's always going to be the poor among us. So yeah, I understand that, but that depends on kind of how you look at it. It's a little bit of it's more to do with perception, in my opinion. Everything else, if they could just stick to making one flavor of ice cream and just pump that out, they'd be probably better at it than your average startup company, because they can just pump a whole bunch of money that wasn't really theirs into it. And if they just don't have to diversify and just stay on that one line, maybe they can do ice cream better than anybody else. But the second you tell them to start making chocolate along with that, you're screwed. It's done. It's over. Everything's going to start getting screwed up and then oversighted to death and committed to death and studied to death. And yeah, studying ice cream to death. Maybe not the best example, but they'll find committees for everything, and it just ends up wasting money. All right, so let's watch this. Maybe we can clue. I don't know how deep we are in at the moment. I haven't looked at the time. Just one sec. Yeah, libertarian is the way to go, but then you have to deal with the Libertarian Party. So there's small L and big L there too. Libertarian Party's pretty. It's so rough shot wherever you go. All right, let's get our tour of the COVID hotel. Yeah, I noticed the sound was low, actually. Sorry, just one sec. Even after turning it up on the other one.
Not far from Pearson Airport, this is the fourth isolation hotel to open for any resident in Peel Region.
And these are people who have either got COVID or who had an exposure and are at risk of contracting
That's right.
the virus. Is
Either
that right?
positive already for COVID, think they might have COVID, or are a close contact of somebody who has COVID.
The pool closed, fitness center too, the whole place reserved for those isolating, all 100 rooms.
Are you expecting that kind of demand?
Yes, we absolutely are. We're hoping to fill the place.
Peel Region, home to many essential workers, has some of the country's highest COVID rates, and where at-risk grandparents, working parents, and school-age kids often live under one roof. So hotels like this may be the only safe alternative.
So if they're here, they're not exposing their family to perhaps the virus. It's very hard in multi-generational homes.
There's 24-hour on-site nursing staff, cleaners too, TV and Wi-Fi to stave off boredom, and a varied menu with everything from hamburgers to vindaloo.
So this is one of the typical rooms. You'll see they have their private bathroom with shower, a couple of really nice comfortable beds here.
It's just like a regular hotel room.
Absolutely, just like any hotel room. There's a
It's also free, paid for with emergency funding from the feds and the province, an investment, they say, in stopping the virus's spread. Care is also offered in multiple languages, a service sensitive to Peel Region's many cultures.
Isolation factor, nurse speaking.
Amik Singh is one of the nurses. here.
See someone coming positive here with COVID, their anxiety is here. To hear a common language, I'm Punjabi Sikh myself. If I agree with a patient and say, "Sat Sri Akal, how are you doing?" Their anxiety's down here, so it's easier to understand, do a complete health assessment.
There are also separate quarantine facilities for arriving international travelers with nowhere safe to isolate. Run by federal officials, they look similar. Travelers escorted to a hotel room, provided meals and plentiful snacks. It's comfortable, but can be lonely. This video provided to us by someone who spent 2 weeks inside seeing only hazmat suit wearing cleaners, sometimes as they pass by the peephole in the door. And once a day there is outdoor time in the parking lot, fenced off for everyone's safety.
Hi, my name is Rashid. I'm the nurse on staff here today. I'm just gonna
Back at Peel's Hotel for residents, not travelers, nurse Rasheen Oliver remembers one woman whose illness worsened as her anxiety rose. Oliver had to convince her to go to hospital.
She was there for 21 days, and essentially after she was discharged, she got in contact with me to thank me for sending her to the hospital, because if she would have stayed in the hotel room, and she realized that at that point, that she probably would have died. It reminds me of why I'm here. People who really come out and they show that I appreciate what you're doing.
You can call us anytime. We're here 24/7.
Peel region is opening a 5th hotel soon, expecting more demand. All based on a simple premise. Getting more people in here is one step to stopping COVID out there. David Coleman, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Reminds me of why I'm here. People who really come out and they show that I appreciate what you're doing.
You can call us anytime. We're here 24/7.
Peel region is opening a 5th hotel soon, expecting more demand. All based on a simple premise. Getting more people in here is one step to stopping COVID out there. David Coleman, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Brutal. Sorry, guys. Boomer through this. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, so what I was saying, I'll do it one more time because of the sound. Sorry about that, guys. If you listen to like the first couple and last couple sentences in all of their articles on CBC, you'll basically get what they're trying to tell you. And here it
Based on a
was.
simple premise. Getting more people
More,
is one step to stopping COVID out there. David Coleman, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Yeah. So that's how they do their propaganda here up here in Canada. Guys. Yeah, I know. I didn't realize the mic was gone. I think I pressed space. I think that's what does it. Yeah, it is. I press it at the wrong time and it mutes it. And I think that's what's going on. Who just said that? I'm sick of zombies who say they're immunocompromised. Yeah, I know, right? People are like, I heard that a lot, especially at first too, and it's just like, you're all immunocompromised, are you? Okay. My anxiety wouldn't be down anywhere with costume up goons at my door. Right? Like, these... it's indoctrination is basically what it is. There's nothing normal about this. This is not a new normal. There's nothing logical about this. Like, what I was just mentioning too, they were just talking about getting her out of that place and into a hospital. Like,
Peel's Hotel for residents, not travelers.
the reason why this person is good is because they had to get someone out of here. but they're talking about getting more people into here, right? They try to get the racial aspect in, right? The virtue signaling, and in doing so, they compromise and undermine their entire premise from the beginning. But as long as they got the virtue signaling points in, that's okay. It doesn't matter that they just revealed that this place is, you know, a hotel of death. And if you stay there and you are actually of high risk, then you should not be here. You know, this is ridiculous stuff. Oh, and then you try and press anything. Anytime you look up anything COVID, they have this stuff here. You have it there in Canada or in America. But here in Canada, until like, you know, maybe April or May or something, we were all going off. What's the place down in Atlanta? I forget what it is. The CDC. There you go. We were basically just stealing all their information and passing that out. Like I think we're called CFAC or something like that. I think that's what they call theirs, like their CDC, and nobody knew what it was. They knew about the CDC much more. What do we got? Recorded deaths, recovered. And this is in Canada. Yeah, I'm wondering like how many of those are actually COVID. 21,000. Total cases recovered. I'd say a lot of these have to do with Quebec and stuffing in people that are infected into the nursing homes, like they did in New York. They did that in Quebec as well, and had really bad cases. Reportedly. I'll just say that. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Hit this up. Hit this up. I know I've kind of been like, you know, not taking this channel like seriously enough or whatnot, but if you like this stuff, hit the like button, and I would like to continue going through Canadian stuff as well as other media, but I may not be as active as I want to be for the next little bit because I gotta help out Kitty. He needs help bad, and I need to take it as seriously as possible. And flu's gone. Yeah, just like Vandal's saying there. Flu's absolutely gone. Mouse says Cuomo is coming in under fire for pushing the infected people into nursing homes. He's such an... Yeah, I heard that he might have some problem, like even like walking in... He's getting to the point where like he probably can't walk in New York streets without an entourage, like without a big one or whatever. Like that's what I've heard. He's getting massively unpopular, and he's acting like a gangster the whole time. Remember the time when he was like talking about Trump's going to need an army to get into New York City? Like, can you imagine? I mean, like, he shoves these people into the nursing homes by law. He forces it to happen. I mean, he's got like a bigger death count than like most of these plagues that have happened over the course of history. Like tens of thousands of people, isn't it? In New York that died? What was the death count? I would love to know those numbers. And then Fauci and Cuomo. Yeah, Fauci. Yeah. If you don't do what we tell you, you're gonna get whacked. And take his... Was it Emmy? Yeah, daytime Emmy. I think he might have won or something like that. I mean, come on. They're all just circle jerking each other. It's not very clean language, sorry, but I don't know a better word for it. Patting each other on the backs all day. Like Ted Nugent from playing in NYC. Like, I mean, like, yeah, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how these people are acting. Like, and they think that like everybody supports them in it because they just live in this bubble, this echo chamber. So stupid. So stupid. Yeah, indeed. All right, let's do a quick wrap up because let's start keeping these a little short. I can't really spend all day on streaming all the time or whatever. I'm gonna give you... Hold on. I'll just get rid of this. If you have any stuff that you would like to maybe that I could possibly review for you or anything like that, or any information at all, you got that email right there. You can send that over. It's bryant.justin391@gmail.com. And with any info or anything you might want to take a look into. I know that I keep talking about emails, and I know I still haven't really addressed too much of it. But I will, I promise. I do read them. I do see your emails, a lot of them. Facts aren't the facts, Cuomo. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people die. It's funny how they use the people die thing, you know, when it's to protect themselves, and then, like, then if anybody were to ever say that against one of their decrees or anything like that, then you're a monster, right? It's the best part about that. They can just pick and choose when things matter now. It's hilarious stuff. I believe everything that out of Alyssa Milano's mouth. I mean, she's just lost all support on all sides at this point. People are like they back away from supporting her at this moment, except for, like, you know, the diehard fans or whatever. They don't see any problem in what she's doing, but she's a total grifter, you know, desperate to remain relevant. Yeah, it was great to see you guys too. I'm sorry I haven't been around, and it's just, you know, it's stressful. It's really, it's really stressful, especially doing the injections. You know, I'm not a vet, I'm not a doctor, and, you know, I'm not very good at it, number one, and number two, it really hurts the cat, and it's like horrible. And it's stressful, you know, and I don't know. It's hard to keep your sense about you, you know, like, it's hard to keep focused on other things. Like, it's all I can really think about is, like, when's the next feeding time, when's the next drug time. I got the next one coming up in about 45 minutes. And then I got another one coming up 4 hours after that, and, you know, he's on a lot of drugs. Yeah, he's not out of the dark yet. It's because he can start rejecting the injections. I've had to go back to pills for the time being, and he's clearly in some sort of stress because he had that ulcer thing, and luckily enough that wasn't from the virus. So which is, like, kind of game over if that's the case. Right? It's just a secondary infection that can happen due to, you know, stress and things like that. So these things can turn ugly quick. And I guess the worry of that is stopping me from doing stuff, you know? But he's looking pretty good. I mean, like, he's not... aside from that, the ulcer on the eye or whatnot, he seems to be doing pretty well. He still hasn't picked up the weight like he should be, which is a big worry. But he's looking better, you know, and he has picked up some. Oh, yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah. I'll go through my emails too. It has been a couple days since I've gone through them. It's rough, but for the best, and it is. He's, you know, it's both necessary and beneficial at the end. So it's just, it's a tough time. That's all. It's expensive too. It's pretty rough. I lost one of my favorite chickens this week. Oh no. No, it's not silly to cry all day. They're you bond with them. There's I forget which special forces. Might be the German or maybe the French. They get you to raise a chicken, from chicklet to chicken, and then they get you to kill it to harden yourself for war or whatever. And the thing is that you raise it. You have to keep it alive, and then you will basically get attached to it, and then you have to kill him or kill it. So there's a reason, you know. There's a reason why they do that, and it's because, you know, the bond is real. The bond is real. Doesn't make it any less because they're a chicken. Chickens are pretty cool. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, I think I will do more of this. I'll probably like screen some more. If you guys see any articles that really get your goat or whatever, we'll start breaking them down a little bit more. And yeah, we'll go from there. Again, sort of be like all over the place. You know, like, I hope nobody feels like they're wasting their time or anything. I don't mean to waste your time in any way. But, oh, well, I haven't touched it since. I haven't touched that city since. It looks nice. It looks nice. But, yeah, I haven't touched it since. I just haven't had really time for too much games. And I also noticed I was using it too much as like a crutch or whatever. So I might still like do it a little bit. Maybe do like another channel or something like that, just for that. But I'll probably do it less on this now, and just cover news and things like that. Because, you know, you guys didn't sub to watch gaming. Stream was mint by. It was mint. Yeah, it's, you know, it's good to relax every now and then, but then, like, I'm just kind of there, and, like, I was probably using it way too much as, like, an escape mechanism, you know? So, alright, I think I'm going to clue this up. Film the hospital, film your hotels. Yeah, I'd like, well, I don't know what they're doing here. I'm not in Ontario anymore. I'm in that Newfoundland place, but I don't know what type of lockdown stuff they're doing now. I find it hard to watch the news. I probably won't cover Newfoundland stuff too much. It'll be more Canadian and American. Yeah, I think I could get a setup, because this TV, I could probably just connect it in with D-Sub or something like that. Watch some stuff together. Alright, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in today, and hope this was, you know, maybe informative, a little fun. And we do have, I think the D-Live is still up. If you'd like to go there and chat, I find it so hard to find time. And it's not that I don't want to be around, it's just where it's so crazy. Getting used to the swing of this, you know. Hopefully I'll be back on more. Yeah, the NL Premier Fury, yeah, he's nowhere near as... he's much more spineless than he wants you to know. Like, he's not coming out with any policies or anything like that. He thinks that he's got this election in the bag. And he's not planning to release any details that could possibly anger or upset voters. So he's being a... you know, he's being a little coward. And he's just following, you know, the cues of this globalist crap that you see. So, yeah, keep sending in those prayers for Kitty, because, yeah, like I said, he's not out of the, you know, still could go bad. Okay, alright guys, well, I will, I don't know when I can go on next time, but I'll try and give a little bit more of a heads up if I do. Hopefully it'll be in the next couple of days. Yeah, I will. I will keep the D-Live up more. I'll go over there now and say hello, and I'll keep it up more from now on, because I was just so stressed out. I kind of like stepped away from everything for a few days. But I'll go back in and we'll say hi and stuff. So I'm so sorry I didn't mean to, you know, kind of leave you guys high and dry or whatever. And I hope everything is all well with you guys. And I'm sorry about your chicken chi. I know you like chickens. I think that's what chi means. Is that's where the chi comes from? All right, guys. Thank you very much. And until next time. All right. See you later.